September 29, 2017. A notification for a new Super Mario Logan video popped up on my phone. I got excited, thinking this would be the big birthday video that Chili talked about. I'm immediately caught off guard by the cryptic title. SML movie, I'm sorry, Chef PP. My mind began racing with thoughts. Was this not the birthday video? Did they schedule the wrong video? Is this an early Halloween special? I then noticed the thumbnail, which had high contrast, and I could see Junior's sad face in the preview. I noticed Chef PP in the corner, who blended into the background. I could barely view his facial features. Despite all the red flags, I still played the video and saw what happened. Junior is playing football in the house with Jeffy while Chef PP is cooking something disgusting, as always. When it cuts back to Junior and Jeffy playing football, Junior went in for a tackle, and Jeffy hit the ball extremely hard. The kick is high enough and strong enough to break part of the ceiling. A chunk of ceiling crushed Chef PP directly in the face and knocked him unconscious, and it destroyed his face. Blood and pieces of flesh splattered against the stovetop, and there was a giant hole where Chef PP's face was. There is even a little skull surrounded by what looked like ground beef inside the face hole. The scene was gruesome, but I could tell it's just some impressive special effects. It's an SML movie. After all, I had gotten used to seeing plenty of fake blood in these videos. Anyway, Junior is terrified of the fact that he might have killed Chef PP, but he knew a trick. Junior tried to make Chef PP a new face by getting some Play-Doh and using glue and tape to fix his face. There's a light-hearted little montage of Junior fixing his face with cutesy music. When Junior finished the Play-Doh face, he went to present it to Jeffy to get his approval. They went to put the new face on Chef PP, whose flesh looked like it had slightly rotted. I thought it was crazy attention to detail having Chef PP's destroyed face actually age somehow. After the face was successfully in place, Junior was waiting for Chef PP to be alive. The shot is held on Chef PP's corpse for an eerily long time, around 13 seconds. I finally got the feeling that something was up. I know it sounds ridiculous when I say it this far into the video, but at this point, I had gotten used to the gruesome nature of some of Logan's videos. I figured this video was just another one of those videos, like The Gun or Cody the Magician. However, some strange artistic liberties in the video didn't seem like Logan's style. I already mentioned Chef PP's slowly rotting flesh, and the weird 10-second pause seemed too much like an artsy move, if that makes sense. Regardless, the video played on. The scene cuts to the red couch, with Junior and Jeffy sitting. Junior lamented about the fact that he killed Chef PP, to which Jeffy corrected him by saying that he was the one who killed him. I settled down after this joke, thinking that the video was back to being good old SML. I'm sorely mistaken. The scene went on with Junior and Jeffy discussing where to hide his body, but before Junior could finish a sentence, the video made a smash cut to Chef PP's still rotting body in the kitchen for about 3 to 4 seconds. After that, it continued like normal. And then, as Jeffy was discussing one of his ideas, there was another hard cut to the body. It was extremely unlike Logan's style of editing. His videos were usually much more fast-paced than this. Before I continued this thought, I noticed something. The scene was slightly different from the previous one. I saw an eyeball where none had been before. A new face was growing under his old one. Chef PP wasn't dead. He was reconstructing. Jeffy and Junior remained unaware of this, and the scene continued like this for a couple of minutes until Chef PP's face grew, and then he got up and went out of frame. Jeffy and Junior then settled on a plan, and they went to leave the room. They immediately stopped as the camera panned around to Chef PP, with his grotesque new face in the light for both of them to see. It's horrifying. It almost looked like human skin, but it looked mixed with the same fabric used on the puppet. It was a deep brown color, almost red. It was excreting a thick, dark red liquid, bleeding, from Chef PP's mouth, and his eyes were bloodshot. His pupils almost filled what was visible through his sockets. Something else of note here is that there was no music to accompany the scene, which left only Junior's whimpering to be the only thing I could hear. The next scene was in Chef PP's point of view, and it looked very distorted and warbled. He seemed to target Jeffy first. The scene cuts to Jeffy's POV, in which Chef PP opens his mouth wide enough to tear the skin around his mouth. The inside of his mouth is somewhat human, but there are no teeth or tongue. The blood seemed to cover every inch of his mouth. Chef PP suddenly lunged toward Jeffy, completely covering his head and devouring it. The video cut back to Junior, who watched on in horror. The sound had completely cut out, so I didn't know if he is saying anything. Despite this, I still kept watching. Chef PP had eaten Jeffy's head and promptly took notice of Junior. Junior made a run for it, running down the stairs and hiding inside a cabinet in the kitchen. This scene was rather intense, as it made rapid cuts to a close-up of Chef PP's new face and Junior panicking inside the cabinet. At this point, the audio came back somewhat. It was Junior panting inside the cabinet as grotesque noises came from outside. There was another cut, now in Junior's point of view. The cabinet door in front of him opened, slowly revealing Chef PP's new face in clear view of the camera. After this scene, it cuts to a new angle in which Chef PP is in the foreground. Chef PP violently grabbed Junior and dug into his chest, removing several of his internal organs in the process. I'm too in shock at this point to realize that Junior is not even meant to have organs. The video continued as Junior screamed out, in a gurgled voice, "I'm sorry, Chef PP. I'm sorry." Chef PP then left the scene, leaving Junior to slowly die as he continued to scream, with each attempt slowly getting quieter and more pitiful. The camera lingered on his dead body for about 3 minutes before it cut to a black screen for a few more seconds. There was no SML question and no plea to subscribe. The video just ended. As expected, the video disappeared for violating YouTube's community guidelines. There was no thought to archive the video, likely because the contents were shocking. I talked with my friends about the video immediately after I finished it, and they are looking at me like I was high. Minutes later, the video that Chili had teased, Bowser Jr.'s 9th birthday, was released instead. It was just an ordinary birthday video, nothing like what we saw in the vlog. I looked in the comments, and no one noticed the horrific events before it. When I went to view the vlog, which had mentioned more production for the video, it disappeared. Nobody seemed to remember the teased video either. You will answer us, Logan. You will. Let's start at the beginning. It's Saturday morning, and I hear a notification coming from my phone. When I go to check it, I see that it's a video from Super Bowser Logan. That was something I expected, since Chili uploaded a vlog just yesterday called, "Should we upload this new SML video? We need your help." It was a standard video from Chili. It opened with Chili saying, "What's up everyone, welcome to the vlog." The rest of the video was Logan and Chili contemplating over whether or not they should upload a new SML video they made. It seemed like they wanted to upload it, but were afraid YouTube would take it down. I guess they decided to upload it anyway. Anyway, when I looked at the title of the video in my notifications, it said, "Jeffy Normal Day." It was a mistake Logan made before, so I wasn't immediately off-put by it. What threw me off was the thumbnail. It was just a picture of a grassy hill, but tinted purple. However, when the video started, it was just like a normal SML video. Bowser Jr. and Jeffy were playing a game of catch. Jeffy throws the ball at Jr., and Jr. does the same with Jeffy. When Jr. throws it, it hits Jeffy in the head, and he starts crying. That's when something weird happened. The video suddenly froze, and I couldn't interact with it in any way. I then closed out of YouTube and reopened it, and the video was back with the proper title, SML Movie, Jeffy's normal day, and thumbnail. I clicked on the video, and the video started off the same, but there was something terribly different. Instead of throwing a ball, Jeffy and Junior were throwing a butcher knife at each other. And instead of Jeffy getting hit in the head, he gets stabbed. Right in the middle of his head. There was blood spewing from the cut, and his eyes and mouth. I managed to grab a screenshot just before he left the frame. Junior screamed and quickly went inside. He went to tell Mario about Jeffy, and Mario ran outside as fast as he could. But when he made it to the backyard, Jeffy was gone. No trace of him being stabbed, not even one drop of blood on the ground. The video froze again, but after about 3 seconds, the video completely restarted. This time, it was nothing like the last 2 iterations. It appeared that the camera was just laying on Logan's bedside table in his bedroom. It was like that for about 1 minute, then Logan came in with the Junior plush and picked the camera up. I realized that the camera was picking up the events before the video began. Logan held the Junior plush in front of the camera as if he knew the camera was filming. The plush was completely ripped up, almost as if it was stabbed multiple times. It was also completely covered in blood. Then there was an abrupt knock at the door, and Logan put the camera back on his table along with the Junior plush. In the background, I could hear him opening his front door, followed by a screeching voice that sounded a lot like Jeffy. I heard a gunshot and then a huge thump, along with the camera shaking violently. Blood pooled in from where the front door was, and Jeffy came into the scene with a pistol in his hand. It looked like he still had the wound from the knife. Lance was very clearly holding him, and there was blood coming from where his hand was, almost as if he was stabbed in the hand along with Jeffy. He didn't notice the camera at first during that segment. There was some camera glitching after Jeffy finally saw the camera, and the video restarted once again. It was the exact same scene from the second iteration, but Junior was nowhere to be seen. The scene cut to Jeffy, but he didn't have any reactions. He wasn't even moving. The camera panned down and Junior's mangled corpse came into view. He was brutally murdered, presumably by Jeffy. The video cut to static, and it finally ended. I was shocked by the video Logan had uploaded. It was almost like a snuff film. I just tried to forget about it by turning on my TV. Just after turning it on, it cut to a breaking news segment. The segment was about how a mass murder took place in Florida. I thought of it as a coincidence, since Logan lives in Florida. The news said it was then spreading to surrounding states, and there was no way to stop it. They said they were gonna show a clip of the killer in action, but for some reason the video was complete TV static. I don't know if this was a mistake, but it sure was creepy. As of writing this, there have been no recent incidents in my state. I sure hope it stays that way. Marvin and Rose are sitting on a couch and is watching TV. Rose is worried about Jeffy. Rose asked to Marvin about where Jeffy is. Marvin shrugged and told Rose that it's fine. Rose isn't buying it. Rose claimed that she is gonna check it herself. Marvin is shocked and nervously asked Rose that maybe she can stay here. Marvin is nevertheless surprised by Rose doing. Rose ignored Marvin and checked for Jeffy. Rose checked everywhere and she found Jeffy staring at the wall. Rose is relieved and reluctantly walked towards Jeffy, and as she is doing that the screen started to glitch. Jeffy looked towards Rose. Jeffy smirked and he looked off. Jeffy had black eyes and red pupils. His eyes are bleeding and his mouth is covered the brim with sharp fangs and his gums are sticking out. Rose backed away from Jeffy and said a loud scream. Jeffy smiled. Rose ran away and Jeffy chased her. Rose climbed downstairs and Jeffy opened his mouth. Jeffy catches up to Rose. Rose fell down and started to catch her breath. As she's doing that, Jeffy teleported near her and punched her. Jeffy punched her. Marvin takes a sip of his Sprite and spitted it out when he heard Rose's horrifying scream. Marvin checked it out and he saw Rose with her head on a spike and her body dismembered and dismantled. Marvin screamed and then thought, who would have done this? He immediately turned his suspicions to Jeffy, and then he checked around to find Jeffy. Marvin saw a loud noise coming from a room. He ran to see if Jeffy is there, and he saw a bunch of bodies on the floor and eyes on the balcony. He then saw Jeffy. His back is standing there and his eyes are closed and his arms are crossed. Marvin then carefully walked towards Jeffy and then touched his shoulder. Jeffy turned his head to Marvin and then his body turned around to where Jeffy's head is staring at. Jeffy smiled to Marvin maliciously. Marvin nervously backed away from Jeffy. Jeffy's mouth is dripping blood like a carnivore. Marvin ran away and Jeffy teleported near Marvin and grabbed Marvin. "This is my world, you can't escape me. Even if you tried, I am death." Jeffy then rips Marvin's body apart. He smirked and looked towards the camera. He whispered to my head. "Hello there, Michael, how was it?" I gasped and waved my head around. Jeffy's arm reached through the screen. I screamed and Jeffy grabbed my legs and pulled me to his world. He laughed demonically, and I screamed the loudest I have ever heard. I was visiting some family members in the US, specifically in Pensacola, Florida. I was excited about this. I just learned my favorite YouTuber, SML, lives in the area. I begged my mom if I could go and visit them since they are okay with their fans visiting their house. After some pleading, she allowed it. I was excited more than ever. I was gonna see my favorite YouTuber. The day after I landed, my mom drove me to the SML house. I was still excited and hyped to see Logan and the SML gang. After my mom dropped me off, I knocked at the door. No one answered. That's strange. I knocked again. No one answered. My stomach sank. I rang the doorbell and knocked. No one answered. I began to tear up. I turned around and walked back to the car in shame, but as I did so I stepped on a camera. "A bloody camera?" I said, picking it up. I had damaged it. Then I heard my mom calling my name saying, "Did the SML guy answer?" I said no and that I'm coming back to the car. I still have the broken camera. Afterwards I opened the camera. The glass was broken, the body beaten up, and it had a funny smell. This isn't something that usually happens when you just step on a camera. The only thing left intact was the camera's hard drive. I went to a YouTube video on how to get the files from the drive. Found the video and got the equipment. I shoplifted them. Then afterwards I extracted them into my laptop and opened the video files. I couldn't believe it. It was the SML camera. It had the files to an unreleased video. I clicked on a video file. I heard them all laugh and joke while filming. It was just like Chili's vlogs. I assumed the video was about Jeffy turning 18, which I heard was supposed to be what the SML movie would have been. I kept watching all 4 hours of content in the hard drive. Then things just got weird. After Jeffy dies in an explosion, spoilers if by the time I wrote and uploaded this the episode isn't out. That's if this episode ever comes out. Marvin seems to be distraught. After that point there was no laughing and joking, just Marvin. He lost Jeffy, his only son. He no longer has a purpose in this world. He sacrificed so much for Jeffy, his job, his friends, and much more. Now that Jeffy's gone, why should he continue to live? He calls Brooklyn T. Guy, asking him with a fake happy tone, asking if he could borrow a hunting rifle so he can shoot some deer. Guy, being the idiot that he is, agrees. He gives Marvin the gun. There was a small time skip. Marvin drives back to the scene of the explosion. Marvin is about to do it. Until he looks around. He sees a piece of Jeffy's helmet, broken and melted. He picks it up. When he picks it up, a burnt pencil is shown below it. Marvin begins to cry and says, in a quiet tone, "Not here. I don't want him to see me like this." Then there is another time skip. This is the last skip, with Marvin in the woods alone. He says, "Well, I've hoped that at least I'll get to see him up there. Goodbye, Rose." He points the barrel of the rifle to his mouth. then fires. There was so much blood, the floor, the area of being shot, and, on the camera lens. I heard a loud painful scream, then the video ended. Oh my God. Is this the reason why the camera smelt bad? But there's no way that Marvin had blood inside of him, he's just a puppet. Unless Logan just shot his own hand in making of this video. Is that the reason why the camera was destroyed, so that people didn't have to see this ending of the video? Maybe it was an accident and the rifle wasn't meant to fire? I don't even know what I have to say about this video. I took a photo on my phone so you guys could see. Jesus. I wish I never went to the SML house. A few months ago, around early July 2023, I'm thinking about SML. It's a channel from my childhood. A few years ago, I remember some of my favorite YouTube videos ever made were from Logan. But around 2017 I stopped watching, due to thinking I had outgrown the series, and I moved on to some other YouTubers like Captain Sauce, Poplar MMOs, and the Both Nostalgia Critic and AVGN. For a while throughout most of 2018 and in late 2019, all the YouTubers I named were my favorites. It wasn't until more recently I started thinking about SML again, and how basically throughout most of my elementary school years they are so funny. And I even tried to make my own plush channel. It went about as well as you would think. The videos sucked balls. Now I had heard about how the plushies got changed to puppets, and when first heard it I hated the news. I'm furious manly because I had one thought screaming in my head when I heard the change: where's the fair use? There's no reason SML can use that as a defense, and the puppet change didn't help with my already poor relationship with the series at the time. It wasn't until a few months ago I finally came back to it in 2023. It hasn't been until 2019 was the last few times I watched SML. So I went to watch some random recent episodes. While I thought some were a little funny, they were not nearly as fantastic as the older ones from my childhood. Then I watched my favorite series, Chef PP Quits, and let me tell you, it was just as good as I remember. Then I wondered if they still had fan animations of SML. I had memories of watching them on Newgrounds, other sites that were similar. So I went on Newgrounds and I found some animations, but they all looked poorly done and were pretty bad, looking like they are made in Go Animate or simple Flash animation. Then I wanted to do something a bit sneaky. What if I could find an SML episode on the dark web? It sounds stupid, but maybe. So I got to research. But TBH, at first I kind of did this as a joke, mainly because I thought most of the dark web stuff is fake and just a tool for YouTube views. Like, I knew it existed, but I sure knew it's gonna be anything like what YouTube or creepypastas portray it as. So there I'm using a dark web search engine trying to find an SML video. At first, I thought nothing would pop up on my PC, but to my surprise there was one link, and it was clearly a link to a video, so I downloaded it. Now, just to be safe, so I didn't get a virus or something even worse happening, I downloaded some antivirus software, just to be safe. The video showed up in my files and I watched using Media Player. The video was called Cody's Last Stand. Now this is when this story takes an extremely dark turn. The video was 14 minutes long and 7 seconds long, but what was strange is that the video was animated. It looked like a normal video with the puppets just animated with a basic art style. Cody is walking, looking down, hands behind his back, looking like he needed to cry. His eyes are small and looked glass-like, in a way I can't describe, while the rest of him looked normal. He made a couple of turns, and looked around a few times, but nothing, just completely quiet from him. The only sound were the rain, and some very soft and extremely quiet music. The walking went on for only about 5 minutes, before he arrived at Junior's house. He went inside and Junior and Joseph walked in on the red couch. Junior said his famous line, "So guys, what do you want to do today?" Cody ignored him, just playing on his phone. What was weird was Ken is not with him. Junior and Joseph looked annoyed and said for Cody not ignore him, because it was rude. But Cody didn't listen, just kept playing on his phone. Junior then looked annoyed and told Cody his mom is the baby of a pig and whale, and Joseph laughed in response. Cody looked at Junior, his once glass-like eyes now giant looking red as he glared into Junior's eyes, before throwing his phone at the wall and began yelling up a storm. He began to yell at Junior, but not in a comedic way like SML normally would do. The roasts felt uncomfortable and like he was hiding something. He said stuff like, "Brooklyn guy should have kept you in military school so he could keep you there until you die," and also said, "Look, I understand you're fat and privileged, so why are you mocking mom for your flaws? Well, that's Junior the scum of earth for you now, is it?" Cody's last words after nearly a minute of him yelling, he ended it off with one last line, "Goodbye Junior, God forgive you, you're a sad, sad fool." After just about 30 seconds of Junior, Joseph, and Cody just standing there in dead silence. Cody then out of nowhere pulled out a handgun and shot Joseph 5 times in the chest and stomach each, before he went down. "What the heck?" I blurted out. I began to start hitting the escape key, but it didn't work, neither did Control-Alt-Delete. Then he begins to straggle Junior for about a solid 20 seconds before he falls to the ground. He shoots him in the arm twice before dipping his fingers in their blood while smiling a sharp-toothed grin. Then now at the 7-minute mark, you can hear the most deafening screams you will ever hear. They're so loud they will make your ears ring. But the screams aren't just screams, they sound like Logan, Lovell, and Chris, the voice actors of characters. This is when I tried to turn off, but my mouse wouldn't move. Cody licked the blood off of his fingers, white drool coming from his mouth. His eyes slowly got bigger and more deformed as his smile grew so wide it pulled itself across his entire face, his once nerdy outfit touring into a suit and a red tie, covered in their blood. He then yelled, "I'm your Lord and Savior. Thank you, thank you, thank you." Before began running down the stairs at lightning speed, putting Joseph and Junior in body bags before running outside while dragging both of them on the ground. The screams got even louder, as Cody ran into the darkness dragging the bodies of his friends. Cody looked even more disfigured than ever. His eyes were just black voids with blood oozing out them, as his mouth and eyes as he slowly began to look more like a demon. His skin began to look palish red, with sharp yellow teeth. He's now at his house at the 9-minute mark, not before going inside to the basement only to see the bodies of not his parents, but also a bunch of other dead bodies. He chucks Junior and Joseph into the pile before lighting all the bodies on fire. Now he burned the bodies, and the screaming of Lovell stopped when Joseph was burned to a crisp, and then Logan stopped when Junior was burned. At this point, I'm crying from how terrifying it is. Cody looked at the camera slowly, now looking like an actual demon, with almost nothing making him look like the Cody we know, outside his glasses, hair, and face which remained the same. At this point, I was frozen with fear at what I was seeing. I began to back away from my computer out of horror, but the video kept playing. Fire is heard in the background, and then the 3 screaming voices returned, louder than ever before. At this point is curled up in a ball in the corner of my room, scared out of my mind from the video's gore, but it's about to get much worse. Cody looked at the camera and kneeled down before pulling out the same handgun, shooting himself in the head, killing himself. I ran and unplugged my PC, and a single tear ran down my face from horror. Did that really just happen? Cody looked way too realistic to be drawn or even CGI. After a few days, I deleted the file and scanned my PC with a bunch of virus scanners, just to make sure I didn't get anything I didn't want on my PC. It's been months since I've watched the video. It's truly traumatizing from every angle, and I hope whoever made the video deleted it, and I hope no one ever has to see something so horrible, ever again.